Yes.
If you needed to get like you need to protect your. Thank you.
Yeah.
What was your suggestion as to the best option?
I don't know for Macs. I haven't ever. They have Norton. Honestly, I hate Norton. All the big names are just nasty. Ironically, Microsoft, which isn't a big name in virus scanning, has made one that I really like. Microsoft Security Essentials, which is free for Windows XP and newer, maybe for Vista and newer, I'm not sure.
It'll run on XP as well.
It'll run on XP. Is it free for XP?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Microsoft Security Essentials it's great because it doesn't get in your way. Like a lot of the brands, they try to keep you from, like, they try to plug up all sorts of security holes, and it keeps you from doing stuff that you want to do. So on my dad's computer, I can't even share printers across the network or share files because it's like, oh no, there are holes here. Chill, chill. And like even when I turn off those features, it still doesn't work. Yeah. But Microsoft Security Essentials is a good way to go. If AVG is still free, AVG is also a good way to go. I still prefer Microsoft's, but there are other things. You're probably not running Linux. Okay.
Oh man, those things.
And now you can just download it on the internet.
Yeah, if it's free.
It is
but
still free.
MSE is, in my opinion, the way to go. It's not perfect. None of them are perfect. They're not ever going to catch everything all the time. But MSE, in my opinion, does a good job of catching stuff without getting in your way. Could we write down GPG? That was the encryption software. That one's a big deal. So GPG is going to allow you to take plain text or files and encrypt them. So my dad's doing my taxes for me because he has a copy of TurboTax and I don't. So I put them all together in a zip file, then I encrypted it with GPG and sent it to him. He decrypted it with GPG, and no one in the interim was able to get any of that information, so they can't see all the $3 I made. That was stupid. Jason.
I'm just curious about the not taking it out of the country thing.
Okay, so GPG is kind of a playoff of PGP, which was developed by MIT in the 90s. And PGP really is built off of AES and RSA, acronyms, tons of them, which are two very well-known and very well-established encryption protocols. The thing is that certain factions, parts of our government, are concerned about the possibility of people outside the United States being able to send information that we can't spy on. And so there are export controls on anything that has encryption. So that includes DRM. So if you look carefully at end-user license agreement for things like iTunes and Adobe Reader, which have DRM schemes in them to keep you from doing stuff with their files that you don't want them to do, they typically do actually have export controls in the end-user license agreement. So know about that. Be very careful if you're taking anything overseas. Whitney, your hand is up.
Yeah, so if you have Microsoft Security Essentials, is that enough? Or, I mean, because it seems like there's virus stuff, there's spyware stuff, and there's like this whole list of things you gotta download.
People don't really bother making just a virus scan anymore. They just make malware or internet security suites. And yeah, so actually, when I was working on this presentation, I was trying to get Firesheep to work, and apparently it doesn't work on 64-bit systems, and I have 3 computers I could have used, and they're all 64-bit. And I was a little miffed about that. But when I was working on getting Firesheep, MSE popped up and said, "Oh, there's a hacking tool on here. Stop it." And I was like, "No, in this case, it's all right. I'm doing this one on purpose." So they all kind of cover all their bases. No malware protection suite is going to remove the need to keep your software up to date. It's mostly your operating system, so Windows or Mac OS. But even like Microsoft Office, any sort of productivity suite, if it's running all the time, then there's a possibility that something bad could happen. There could be a security flaw in it that people could use to take over your computer.
Sorry. Don't mind me.
Okay. So keep everything up to date, but most crucially your operating system. And remember, keep your smartphones up to date. That's a big deal now. Sean.
So do you need, like, or I obviously don't have a smartphone or anything, but do you need something like a protection or those security things on your phones now, or?
Mostly just keep it up to date. You should be fine. People are trying to crack in, but the people who developed smartphones knew that this would be an issue, and they're better prepared for it than people were when they made PCs.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's a big deal. Again, be careful on what you open. Be careful what you click on. Just paranoia is a good thing. Yeah. Yeah.
What's your favorite computer hacker-based movie? Is it your favorite because it's ludicrous or because it's awesomely hacker?
I really enjoyed Sneakers. I've only seen it once. I really enjoyed it. The scientific community would be really excited to see a box that could hack into anything, because it would have proved that P is equal to NP, and that's huge in computational theory, and everyone would wig out, and probably all of the banks would pull off of the internet immediately, and you'd have to start showing your ID and talking with tellers in person. It would be pretty awesome.
I've heard that the FBI won't investigate any fraud, like identity theft, that's less than $20,000. Do you know?
I don't know what the threshold is. I just know that if, I mean, you can talk with them, and if they say we can't investigate it, then, I mean, at least you told them. But
They should point you to someone.
I would rather tell them and have them ignore it than not tell them and fail to give evidence or information that could be useful in a criminal case. Oh, sorry.
So after hearing your presentation, I realized I'm very insecure with my passwords. How often do you change them? Like if you have one of these big long random ones, is it can you just keep it, or do you need to change
Number one, anytime you think there's been any security breach at all, change your password. And honestly, don't share your passwords with people. The theory behind passwords is that it's using to prove that you are who you say you are. And if the system is built the way it should be, then you prove you are who you say you are, and then they say, oh, then you have the rights to do these things. And so we use usernames and passwords in order to get stuff done, to get permission to do stuff, but that permission comes from having our identity linked with those permissions. And so well-designed systems should do that. Are they all designed? No.
Ben, don't worry. Ben 81 works fine for you.
So don't share your passwords with people.
But you changed it? I thought it was
If your password ever gets shared even, you should change it. Paranoid people will tell you to change it once a month. I don't do that.
How can you change it?
I'm just in the process of changing from sentence-based ones to random ones right now, actually. So I'm kind of going one at a time. It's like, okay, I'll change this one today. And I'll generate a random password and change it. I write them down, leave them in my wallet.
How do you create them?
There's a program, there's a Linux program called PWGen. I mean, you could write a Python program, stick it on a web server. If you want, I can show you. I have a friend who wrote one, and it'll just make a password for you. Of course, that password is sent over HTTP.
Just hit the keyboard.
So if you're really paranoid, that won't do it for you. I'll write a program you can run on your own computer, and we'll make it for you. So yeah, if you're in Linux, there's one. I haven't found one that works. Just you can just run in Windows, but I haven't looked that hard either because I've used Linux for it. Rich.
Hey, is it like when you say do all these random words for your passwords? Like, if it's something you don't really care about, like let's say magazine subscription or you're applying for work or something like that, like does that matter so much which password you use if you don't care about the information sent over?
I think you have to decide whether it matters.
Okay.
But once you've done it a few times, remembering a random password really isn't difficult. Like you have it written down someplace. Check it if you need it, but try to do it from memory. Like by the third time I have a 12 characters long that I just did. My advisor uses like 32 character passwords. He just keeps typing forever. 12 characters, like the third time I typed it, it was in there.
What if you can't remember your own phone number?
Like I said, write it down. Leave it in your wallet.
have identity theft insurance?
No.
Maybe because you have good passwords.
Oh, so I mean, what are they going to steal from me? I'm still in college. Sean.
Oh, I was just going to ask the question, since like when you were showing the whole possibilities and you used regular words, words with substitutions and bogus, does that only, or I guess that was only showing English words, right?
Right.
Is there any advantage, I guess, to doing maybe a foreign language or?
The more obscure you make it, the more hardcore the attacker has to be to do something besides brute force. So if you use other languages, if you put multiple words together, if you do substitutions on top of that, all of these things are going to complicate the attack, but they won't make it impossible by any means. There are actually dictionaries out there. There are companies that specialize in this, and they just have these massive server farms and huge dictionaries that include not only words, but song lyrics. Like, take a famous song lyric and take all the words and take the first letter. That's a word in this dictionary, and they just got it all, and they can crack any non-random password in a pretty short amount of time. But if you get it like 32 characters, the big bang to the big crunch will elapse a few times before you get through them all. Like it just there's no way. Because there are so many possibilities. You've got however many characters, so 52 upper and lowercase letters, 10 letters. So you're talking, what, 65, 75 raised to the power of 32? It's a really, really big number, and there's no way anyone's going to crack that. Yeah.